Hello again. Many people in Britain feel, with some justification, that the disadvantages of large-scale immigration vastly outweigh the supposed benefits. However, as some have pointed out, in a sense, this is payback for those centuries of colonialism when Britain had an empire. We invaded and occupied their lands, and now, centuries later, they're coming to invade and occupy our homeland. There is a certain symmetry in the process, much as I dislike the practical consequences of this reverse colonisation. You might call it karma. The same, of course, cannot be said for Ireland, which has historically been more or less another of England's colonies. For centuries they felt that they were oppressed by the English until they managed to break free about 100 years ago and found the Irish Free State. Hurrah! Ireland became free of English hegemony. How ironic then that Ireland, which never went overseas and exploited anybody and did not have a single colony, should suffer precisely the same fate as England when it came to immigration. According to figures released last week, Irish nationals now only make up 86% of the population in Ireland. 14% of the population are foreigners. I give a link to this information in the description to this video. Of course, some of those foreigners have higher birth rates than Irish people, and so we are seeing some very unusual Irish people that were born in the country, such as the one in the thumbnail to this video. This is a runner called Israel Olatunde, who was actually born in Ireland. There's quite a few black Irish people in the athletics world representing Ireland lately. Last year's Miss Ireland was, of course, of a somewhat duskier hue than the average Irish girl, possibly because she was born in Africa. It seems that the population of Ireland is now increasing apace, with Nigerians being a major source of new citizens. Mind, there are quite a few from other parts of the world as well. This is, of course, reflected in some of the crimes which are being seen in Ireland these days. I'm thinking of things such as the two gay men who were murdered and their bodies horribly mutilated in Sligo earlier this year. Youssef Palani is currently awaiting trial for these deaths. Then there was the rape of a teenage girl by 4 men who were sentenced in July to up to 19 years in prison. The names of those convicted, Marcos de Silva Umbalino and Eduardo Dias Ferreira Filho, for instance, simply do not sound like typical Irish names to me. It looks to the objective observer as though Ireland is now in much the same position as England when it comes to immigration. I mean, it seems a bit unfair, really. At least we English had the fun of running an empire for which we are now being punished. I wonder what Ireland is paying the price for. I'm bound to say that I'm in touch with a number of Irish people, and the general feeling seems to be one of bewilderment because they simply do not understand what is going on and why so many foreigners are being imported. Even small towns now are starting to see the nature of the country changing. Perhaps it's Ireland's fault for joining the European Union. When they were on the edge of Europe, they were part of what is sometimes known as the Celtic fringe and were able to preserve a distinctive way of life with customs and traditions which were mainly forgotten in the rest of Europe. Now, though, all that is being lost. Some say the rot set in 2017 when an Indian homosexual became Prime Minister of Ireland, although others think that joining the common market in 1973 was when Ireland took the wrong turn, which has led to the present situation. Either way, the country is changing almost as rapidly as Britain is, and within a few years it's quite conceivable that Irish culture will be a thing of the past.